My wife declared me dead to sell my company. Then a deleted voicemail exposed her. The first time I saw my own obituary, I was standing outside my house with a hospital bracelet still on my wrist. My name was printed under a black and white photo from a company picnic 3 summers earlier. Caleb Daniel Mercer, beloved husband, devoted father, founder of Mercer Restoration Group, taken too soon during the Blackwater storm. I read it on my neighbor's phone while rainwater still dripped from my jacket and the stitches above my eyebrow pulled every time I blinked. The neighbor did not scream. My wife did. Elena opened the front door, saw my face, and screamed so hard, my 10-year-old son came running from the hallway behind her. For one terrible second, I thought she screamed because she believed she was seeing a ghost. Then I saw her eyes. She was not afraid because she thought I was dead. She was afraid because she knew I was not. "Jonah," I said, taking one step toward my son. He froze. My boy stood in his socks at the bottom of the stairs holding the sleeve of the black sweater he had worn to my funeral. Oh, I knew that sweater because I bought it for him for his school concert. He hated it because it itched. He looked at me like the world had opened its mouth and lied. "Buddy," I said. "It's me." Elena moved between us. "Stay away from him." Those 4 words did not sound like shock. They sounded prepared. "Elena, what the hell is going on?" She backed toward the phone table and grabbed her cell. "I need police," she said into it, eyes locked on mine. "There is a man at my house claiming to be my dead husband." "My dead husband?" Not my husband." "Not Caleb." "Dead." "Oh." 10 minutes later, I stood on the sidewalk in front of my own house while 2 officers told me to keep my hands visible. My brother Victor arrived in a dark coat holding a folder like a priest carrying scripture. He would not look at me at first. Then he did, and I saw something worse than grief. "Oh, calculation. Officers, he said my brother was declared dead after the storm. We have documentation." He opened the folder. There was a death certificate with my name on it. There was a cremation authorization. There was a printed program from a funeral I had not attended because I had been lying in a rural clinic under the name John Doe. Jonah stood at the window crying. I tried to call to him. One officer stepped closer. "Sir, do not approach the child." The child. That was the first time paperwork made my son sound like someone I was not allowed to love. "My name is Caleb Mercer. I was 42 years old when my wife and brother buried me on paper and tried to keep me there. I owned Mercer Restoration Group, a storm damage inspection and home restoration company on the Carolina coast. We were not one of those massive disaster firms that flew in after hurricanes with glossy trucks and out-of-state crews. We were 18 people, 3 warehouses, 7 inspection vans, and a reputation built 1 roof, 1 flooded kitchen, 1 terrified family at a time. Elena had spent years turning my absences into proof that I cared more about strangers than home. Victor had spent years calling the company trapped value as if 18 workers and hundreds of families were just numbers waiting for a buyer. They did not invent their motives overnight. They simply waited for a storm to make their choices look like necessity. After a storm, I could read a house like a witness statement. Water lines on drywall, mud pattern under door frames. Oh, nail pops from pressure shift, metadata in damage photos, GPS stamps from inspection crews, insurance reports. Time mattered. Angles mattered. People lied after disasters because money arrived where pain had just opened a door. My job was to prove what the storm destroyed and what people tried to blame on it. The fight about selling started 6 months before the Blackwater storm. Harbor Line Recovery Partners, a large regional disaster company, wanted to buy us. Their first offer was insulting. Their second was tempting. Their third made Victor look at me like I was stupid for still saying no. Elena sided with him in private. "You're refusing because your father started the business with you," she said. "No," I said. "I'm refusing because Harbor Line will cut half the crew in 6 months and turn the rest into subcontractors. That's not your responsibility forever. It is if I sign their jobs away." She looked tired. "You always choose the people outside this house." I had no answer that would not hurt both of us. Then the storm came. Blackwater formed fast and hit wrong. Not the biggest hurricane on record, but mean. Rivers rose where they were not supposed to. Roads disappeared under brown water. Cell towers failed in pockets. We had crews running emergency assessments from dawn until after midnight. Mateo Ruiz had been with us for 3 weeks. Temporary hire, 27 years old, quiet, careful, eager to prove he belonged on a permanent crew. He had a mother named Isabel, who packed him lunches in foil even though he was grown because love does not always update its habits. That night, Mateo rode with me to inspect damage near Kellen Bridge, a low crossing that should have been closed sooner. Rain came sideways. The road shoulder had washed out. My jacket was heavier duty than his, so I handed it to him while I checked a flooded generator station. "Take it," I said. "You're soaked?" He laughed and said, "Boss, you're soaked too. Mine's older. It knows what to do." I also gave him a spare company ID copy because emergency checkpoints had been messy all day, and I wanted him able to move between crew vehicles if we got separated. Those 2 small choices put my name on his body. A utility pole cracked somewhere behind us. Then the embankment gave way. People imagine disasters as loud. Sometimes they are. Sometimes they are just one wrong sound and then no ground where ground used to be. I remember water. Metal, a flash of yellow from the jacket Mateo was wearing. Then nothing clean. I woke up in pieces, not all at once. First sound, a monitor beep, then pain, then a woman's voice saying John Doe is trying to sit up. John Doe. I tried to speak, but my mouth felt packed with cotton and blood. The room was not a hospital I knew. It was a rural emergency clinic inland overrun with storm injuries. No phone, no wallet, no wedding ring because my hand had swollen so badly they cut it off. No identification. Dr. Anika Bell later told me I had been brought in by a volunteer rescue team who found me downstream near an access road at 2:18 a.m. I had a head injury, broken ribs, and enough confusion that I kept saying 2 words, Jonah, and home. By the time I was clear enough to understand myself, the outside world had already accepted my death. Mateo's body had been found near the bridge, wearing my jacket, carrying my spare ID copy, and close enough in build that exhausted officials accepted the family identification Elena and Victor gave. They said the damage made visual confirmation difficult. They said the storm complicated everything. They said my family had asked for immediate cremation because I had supposedly wanted no delay. That was a lie. I had never said that. If anything, I had once told Elena I hated fast cremations because they left no room for doubt. She remembered. That is why she chose it. On the 9th day after the storm, I borrowed a nurse's phone and called Victor. He did not answer. I left a voicemail. My voice was raw but clear enough. "Vic, it's Caleb. I'm alive. My ID was on the wrong body. Don't let Elena sign anything. Call me back, please. Tell Jonah I'm alive." I called Elena next. No answer. I tried again. No answer. Then the clinic lost phone access for half a day because the temporary tower went down. When service returned, no one had called back. I thought grief had made them unreachable. I did not yet understand greed had made them efficient. By the time I signed discharge papers with my real name and found a ride home, my funeral had already happened. My company passwords had been changed. My bank accounts were flagged deceased. My life insurance claim was pending. Victor had petitioned for emergency business authority. Elena had filed papers to preserve assets for the benefit of the surviving minor child. Harborline had scheduled a closing review for the sale of Mercer Restoration Group. And my son had stood beside an urn that did not contain me. Elena's attorney did not call me Caleb. He called me the claimant. The claimant alleges he is Caleb Mercer. The claimant has appeared under traumatic circumstances. The claimant may be suffering from post-injury confusion. The claimant should have no contact with the minor child until identity is verified and psychological impact is assessed. I sat 3 tables away from my wife while she wore black and held a tissue in one hand. She did not cry much, just enough. Jonah was not there. Thank God. Victor testified that he had personally identified my body under difficult conditions and that my sudden appearance had re-traumatized the family. My brother is dead, he said, voice shaking in exactly the right places. Whatever this man believes, he is hurting a grieving child. Whatever this man believes. That sentence made my hands curl under the table. My lawyer, Lara Voss, touched my wrist once. Oh, a warning. Stay still. I had met Lara 2 days earlier after 3 firms said my case was too complex, too sensitive, or too strange. Lara specialized in probate fraud and insurance disputes. She was small, sharp-eyed, and utterly uninterested in comforting lies. In our first meeting, I said I'm alive. That should be enough. She looked at me over her glasses. Being alive gets your name back. It does not punish the people who profited from killing it. I stared at her. She continued. To get justice, we must prove they knew you were alive before they acted. Mistake is survivable. Knowledge is fatal. That became the heart of the case. Not whether I was Caleb. DNA could prove that. Fingerprints could prove that. Dental records could prove that. The real question was when Elena and Victor knew, and what they signed after. Lara started with the clinic. Dr. Annika Bell gave a sworn statement. John Doe male, early 40s, admitted 2:18 a.m. the morning after the bridge collapse. Repeated the name Jonah. Wore a watch with initials CM etched on the back. Injuries consistent with flood trauma. Photographs taken. Blood samples stored. That put me alive before the body was officially identified. But Lara wanted more. She got the voicemail logs. Victor had not just received my voicemail. He had listened to it twice. First at 11:42 a.m., again at 11:47. Then he deleted it. The carrier retained the record. More importantly, an automated transcription service had captured enough to matter. Vic, it's Caleb. I'm alive. My ID was on the wrong body. Don't let Elena sign anything. Call me back. Please, tell Jonah I'm alive. I read the transcript in Lara's office and had to put it down. Lara placed the transcript in a folder labeled Knowledge. Then she built the timeline after Knowledge. 36 hours after Victor heard the voicemail, Elena signed the life insurance claim supplement. 42 hours after Victor filed emergency business authority documents. 2 days after company door codes changed. 2 days and 6 hours after Victor emailed Harborline revised asset schedules. 3 days after Elena's attorney requested that all accounts remain frozen because any person claiming to be Caleb Mercer could be engaged in identity fraud. Any person, meaning me. They knew I existed. They prepared language to make my existence look criminal. The body identification file was worse. Elena and Victor had identified Mateo's body using my jacket, my spare work ID copy, approximate height, and the fact that the body was recovered near my last known work site. No final fingerprint match before cremation. No DNA. No dental confirmation. Emergency conditions allowed temporary identification. Yes, but fast cremation required family authorization. Elena signed it. Victor witnessed. Reason stated. The deceased would not have wanted delay. Lara read that line and went very still. Did you ever put that in writing? Number. Say it verbally. Number. Opposite. Yes. To whom? Elena. Lara wrote that down. Then Mateo's mother arrived. Isabel Ruiz came to Lara's office in a brown coat, carrying a plastic grocery bag full of her son's documents because poor families learn to carry proof of love when institutions misplace names. She had been looking for Mateo since the storm. The county had no body matching him. No hospital had his name. No one had called her. She saw a photo of personal effects attached to my supposed death file and pointed at a small wooden rosary bracelet. That is Mateo's, she said. Not maybe. Not, I think. That is Mateo's. Her hand did not shake. Her voice did. He wore it because his grandmother made it. He said it was ugly and then never took it off. I could not look at her. I had given Mateo my jacket. I had given him my spare ID. It was not my fault, but guilt does not care who the law blames. Isabel turned to me. You are Caleb. Yes. My son worked for you. Yes. Was he alone? The question broke something. No, I said. He was with me. She nodded once. I need his name back. That became bigger than my case. Elena and Victor had not only buried me on paper, they had buried Mateo under my name because his own name was inconvenient. The company sale was the next layer. Victor had told employees the sale talks began only after my death as part of stabilizing the business. Lara subpoenaed email records. The first valuation packet went to Harborline 2 days before Mateo's body was found. Before the bridge collapse, Victor had already sent confidential client lists, fleet values, labor cost reports, and a proposed transition plan. One attachment was named post-Caleb_structure.xlsx. Post-Caleb. He had not waited for my death. He had planned around it. Lara looked at that file name for a long time. Your brother is careful, she said. But arrogant people label things for the future they expect. Oh, Elena's mistake came in a text. After I appeared at the house, she messaged Victor. If he gets a DNA order before the sale closes, everything stops. Not if the imposter. Not if the claimant. That tiny word mattered. People reveal what they know when they forget who might read it later. The probate hearing came 5 weeks after I returned home. By then, DNA had confirmed I was Caleb Mercer. The death certificate had not yet been voided because the system moves slowly when fixing harm it created quickly. I walked into court alive, but still officially dead in too many databases. Elena wore black again. Victor wore navy. Jonah was not in the room. Lara had fought for that. She said no child should watch adults argue over whether his father existed. Elena's attorney began with concern. He said my return was confusing. He said trauma can distort perception. He said the family had acted in good faith under emergency storm conditions. He said Elena's first duty was to protect Jonah from instability. Then Lara stood. No one disputes the storm caused confusion, she said. The question is when confusion ended and fraud began. She placed the clinic record first. John Doe admitted 2:18 a.m. Photographs. Watch with initials. Repeated name Jonah. Then the body identification file. Jacket. Spare ID. No DNA. No fingerprint confirmation before cremation. Then the voicemail log. Victor shifted before she even read it. Lara did not rush. She let the room understand every timestamp. Victor Mercer received a voicemail from a rural clinic phone at 11:39 a.m. He played it at 11:42 and again at 11:47. He deleted it at 11:49. The automated transcription reads, in relevant part, Vic, it's Caleb. I'm alive. My ID was on the wrong body. Don't let Elena sign anything. Victor's attorney objected. The judge overruled. Lara continued. After that voicemail, not before it, the following actions occurred. She read them like weather reports before a flood. Insurance supplement. Emergency business authority. Bank deceased account freeze. Company access changes. Harborline revised sale packet. Cremation finalization. Then the text. If he gets a DNA order before the sale closes, everything stops. Elena's face lost color. Her attorney whispered urgently. Lara turned to Victor. You heard your brother tell you he was alive. Victor said nothing. Oh, you deleted it. Nothing. You then signed documents stating he was deceased. Victor finally spoke. I thought it was a scam. Lara nodded. A scam that knew the private nickname your brother used for his son, called from a storm clinic treating an unidentified male, and told you exactly how the identification error happened. Victor's mouth tightened. Lara did not wait. She called Isabel Ruiz. Isabel walked to the stand with the rosary bracelet in a small evidence bag. She did not look at Elena. She looked at the judge. My son's name was Mateo Ruiz, she said. He was not a spare body for another family's paperwork. That sentence changed the room more than any document. Elena began to cry. Isabel finally looked at her. You buried my son under his name because his life was cheaper to you than your paperwork. Oh. No one objected. Some sentences are too true to interrupt. Then Lara presented Harbor Line metadata, the post-Caleb file, the pre-death valuation, the sales schedule. Victor tried to explain that it was a contingency plan. Lara asked, a contingency plan for your brother's death before the storm that supposedly killed him. He had no answer that did not expose him further. The judge took a recess. I sat in the hallway outside the courtroom while people walked past, pretending not to look at the dead man who had become alive at an inconvenient time. Elena passed me once. For a second, I thought she might say something human. Instead, she whispered, "You're destroying Jonah's life." I looked at her. "No," I said. "You made him grieve me. I'm trying to make sure he never has to grieve the truth." Her face hardened. That was the end of any illusion I had left about her. Now, the ruling did not fix everything in one day, but it began the undoing. My death certificate was ordered void pending corrected identification of Mateo Ruiz. The insurance claim was frozen and referred for investigation. The sale of Mercer Restoration Group was suspended. Victor was removed from any company authority. Elena's emergency control over assets was revoked. The court ordered supervised reunification between me and Jonah with a trauma counselor because children do not bounce back simply because adults produce evidence. Mateo Ruiz was given back his name. That part mattered most to Isabel. A name on a certificate, a proper service, a grave that did not have to carry a lie. When I attended Mateo's memorial, I stood in the back, not as the center, not as the wronged man, as the employer who handed him the jacket that made the world lose him. Isabel saw me before I left. She came over and placed the rosary bracelet in my hand. I tried to give it back. She closed my fingers around it. "He was wearing your name," she said. "Now you remember his." I do. Jonah did not run to me when we met again. He sat in a counselor's office with his knees pulled close, studying my face like he was checking for seams. I wanted to hold him so badly it hurt behind my teeth. I stayed in my chair. "Hi, buddy." His eyes filled. "Mom said Dad was buried." "I know." "Were you dead?" "Number." "But I said goodbye." "I know." His voice cracked. Did you know I said goodbye to someone else?" "Number." He looked at the carpet. Was he scared? I understood then that my son had been carrying not only fear of me, but guilt for Mateo, though he did not know Mateo's name yet. "I don't know," I said carefully, "but his mother loved him, so we are going to say his name right." "What was his name?" "Mateo Ruiz." Jonah repeated it, softly, like a prayer he had not meant to learn. Months later, I renamed our Emergency Storm Worker Relief Fund, the Mateo Ruiz Emergency Fund. Victor said through his lawyer that I was doing it for publicity. Elena said through hers that I was weaponizing grief. Maybe people who use death as paperwork think every memorial is a strategy. It was not. It was a promise. How Elena thought a death certificate could erase me. Victor thought a voicemail could disappear if he deleted it fast enough. They were both wrong. A man's name is not a switch someone else gets to turn off. A body is not evidence until the truth is allowed to speak for it. And a son does not stop being a father because greedy people find a form with a blank line. My family buried me on paper, but paper burns. Records remain. Clinic records, phone records, insurance records, court records. The record of a boy saying another man's name correctly because he was taught that truth belongs to everyone, even the dead. I was not taken too soon during the Blackwater storm. I was taken afterward, by signatures, by silence, by people who needed my death more than they ever needed me alive. But they made one mistake. They thought being declared dead meant I had no voice. They forgot a deleted voicemail is still a voice if someone knows where to listen.